Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochannek on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochannek. We have a very illustrious bunch of people who have joined me today, and I'm very concerned because there are going to be some gloating people between them and some people who will be a little bit down. And just for our guests, if you've got noise in the background, put your mic off, guys, just to let you know. All right, so we've had an amazing test match here for 5 days. England against India, and England have come up with a victory, having won by some 227 runs. Of course, they batted particularly well in the first innings, and they set the game up very nicely for themselves. Winning the toss was very significant. And we have some people who I will now introduce to you. Some will know who they are. Some will be learning for the first time. So I'll actually start from the bottom left-hand corner of the list of my screen. Adam Hollioake, would you mind putting up your hand? Sir. Adam.
How you going?
So Adam is, of course, a former England cricketer, and he is certainly happy after today's result. Then we have in the middle there, next to him, the lovely Preity Upala, who is very Indian, despite being based in California in America, and is our American contingent, as well as obviously our Indian contingent, and will be sticking up for the Indian side of things quite nicely, hopefully. And on her, I guess it's her left or my right, it's the lovely, with a new haircut, actually, Jeff Thomson. How are you, Jeff?
Hi, how are you? Hello.
Above Jeff, not literally, but by way of the video, is Simon Willis.
Hi, guys.
And then probably the one that's going to gloat the most, is going to drive me nuts, is Mr. Chateau Vernon himself, Chris Vernon, with his castle in the background. Show me the bottle of champagne. Where's the bottle of champagne?
I finished it already. This is the third bottle. So.
You haven't finished. Where is it? Show us your bloody bottle of it. There, okay. Okay. All right. And we're now joined by Alan again. Alan's joined us again. He disappeared for a minute. Let's put him on. Okay. Edit mic. Oh, my God. Okay. Are you okay, Alan? Alan, I should say. All right, let's see. We've got him on here. There we are. All right. Alan's here. Okay. And last but not least, we've got Alan Mullally, the former England cricketer. Now, he's probably more of an Aussie. He's got no head at the moment. He's too high, but he'll be okay. All right. Now, guys, the debrief on today. I'll let Chris start because I'm sure he's dying to start.
I found it.
Chris, you right, Al?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Done.
All right. Chris, go. Start.
I mean, what can we say, really? I mean, having watched England play cricket for often frustrating a number of years, I think that has to be as close to the perfect Test match performance that I've seen from an England side. I mean, I don't know where they. I think they played it to the game plan perfectly and executed pretty much the whole way. And I think that they really rattled India in this test. The toss was obviously important, and it will be important in the next test. But I think India are probably going home tonight, realising that they've got a series on their hands here. So I still think India are favourites to win. But if England can win that toss in the next test and get India back out there for a day and a half in the field, then I think it makes it a very tight series because. If England win 2 more tosses, I don't see India winning 3 tests if they're batting last twice. So, no, it's going to be a great setup for a great series.
It certainly will. So, England would be celebrating, but probably slightly reservedly, knowing they've got a match in about 2 or 3 days' time. But that's a very well summarised thing. Okay, Simon, over to you. What's your thoughts on the day?
I think England obviously had their plans before the series, and there were a lot of people questioning England batting on last night, but they stuck to their strategy and they got their reward. I think they executed their plans beautifully, and I thought Root captained the side really, really well. He made changes when he needed to, and they came off. So, full credit to England. A great way to start the series.
I was actually impressed with Jack Leach today. I thought. Very well. All right, Jeff, your thoughts. Jeff Thomson, your thoughts.
Well, I think it's a good win for
England, of course. I mean, to win in India is a hard task. And then to beat, such a good side as well, and to do it pretty convincingly. But I still get annoyed a lot when a game rests on a toss. So you bat first, you get 1,000,000 runs. After that, batting becomes a real task. So it's you got to remember that if you lose the toss next game, what happens there? If the pitch is the same, then England are in trouble. But there was a few good results in there. Joe Root with his couple of hundred. I mean, Coley batted pretty well today. Gill looked really good, but again, he keeps getting out for half a century when you need to bat there today. But it was hard work. I mean, now you're talking about the English spinner. What's his name again? I can't remember his name.
Beston Leach.
The left or the righty? They got whacked.
I mean, I would have been dynamite bowling off spin on that pitch. I'm not belittling him, but I'm just saying, to get wickets on that wasn't a hard task for a spinner. It was diabolical trying to bat on it last, right? So you got to remember that, put things in perspective. But still some good performances. Ashwin, sixer, I thought probably he could have got better than that. For the bowler that he is on the pitch. It was like me bowling on a green top and getting a 5 for big deal. That's what I expect to get. That pitch for a spinner was dynamite. I thought Joe Root was really good today when he brought Jimmy Anderson on there. Jimmy Anderson's been around since Adam was a boy. Came on. He got a couple of gem wickets there, a couple of blokes that he bowled. Absolute, I mean, that was the end of India when he bowled those two out, and that was pretty good for a guy that's been around a while.
Actually, I think that was a pivotal moment of the game. James Anderson's, that one over was remarkable. He incredible reverse swing was amazing. And that did crush their aspirations of trying to bat out the day or do anything heroics like they did in Australia. That just wasn't going to happen on that pitch. And especially when he bowled that over, I just said, that's it. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, now that's a fairly strong English and Australian contingent. I'm not going to go to Adam just yet because I know he's already ready to have a go at me. We'll go to Preity to bring out a bit of sensibility and calmness about her thoughts.
All right. Thank you, guys. Look, hey, beautiful game of cricket. Wonderful bowling by England. Actually, it was quite a sight to see. It's a treat. I think Test cricket is back, and that's the good thing. And we're all winners in that respect. I mean, it should have ended in a draw. I think it could have ended in a draw, but unfortunate last day. Oh well, that's how it goes. I think. Certainly the Indian side can go back and do a lot of contemplation and introspection of where different points where they didn't quite deliver and how they could have done things better. Of course, the toss, as I've always said, especially in India, it does sadly play a big part. But again, there'll be another game, there'll be another toss, and there'll be another, person who wins that toss. So you can't you can't just depend on that. It's much more than that, of course. But I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I was very impressed with Ashwin. I think the way that he was able to deliver, considering the pressure and considering the situation, I think to come out and do what he did, phenomenal. And their second innings bowling was very, very good. I think that's really the quality that they are, and I want to see much more of that. I don't know. I'd like to see a change of the captaincy, as I'm sure a lot of other Indian fans want to as well. But probably that's not going to happen. So I really think the next 3 games are going to be so tough and tight. And as I predicted, this is a very tight. It's going to be a tightly contested, event, right? So I think it's only going to get better, and we are going to see, I think, some star performances coming up. So I'm excited about the next one.
Sorry, well, Chris will confirm it. It's only you, Preity, and Chris that are left now. I'm knocked out because I predicted 3-0. I'm already gone, and Aparna's knocked out. I think maybe even Simon's knocked out. It's only Chris and you that are left in terms of results. But it is an interesting point you brought up about the captaincy. Effectively, Kohli's lost his last 4 matches, the 2 in New Zealand, the 1 in Australia, now this one. There's a bit of a theme of loss there, which is unfortunate because he's a great player, as we know. Adam Hollioake. Actually, there's a comment here saying that a guy called Reggie says, my wife thinks Adam looks like The Rock. There you go.
I think I look more like Wayne Johnson, to be honest. I haven't had The Rock before.
Adam, no. Don't start. Don't get me started, man.
Over to you, Adam.
Yeah, so I found it a couple of things. Number one, I agree with Tomo that the toss is
oh my Lord.
Here. It's and I think it's very easy to get caught up in the Indian people are so passionate about their cricket to start talking about team changes and captaincy changes, but that toss was a really important toss. That said, it's still, you've got to play good cricket. If England have been bowled out for 250 or 3 first innings, India are going to bat past them, batting last on the wicket. So still got to play with Jack Leach.
Hang on a sec. We've been joined by Harini. Rana, you've got some wind noise going. Harini?
I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can. But you've got sound. You put your mic off. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
I'm not sure where she is, but it's like there's a cyclone coming there. So anyway, I mean, the toss of the coin obviously crucial in India, but the comedy thing out of everything is the thought of Tomo running up and bowling spin. I think I want to see Tomo bowling that slinging action. So
not these days, it isn't.
But it's interesting though. If we go back to just before the series started, I know, Norman, I've given you a lot of flack over the series, a bit of fun and stuff like that, and talked about how
I have the text messages to prove. That's all evidence to you.
And I've told you how I felt that you were very much in the Indian camp and saying India would win 6-0 in a 4-match series. Hang
on. Where did you get 6-0 in a 4? It's gone from 5-0 to 6-0. Where every time you talk, there's another game here. What's going on?
I'm exaggerating. By the end of the series, we're not. So it's just don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So and rightly so. I think you were very pro-India, and if I'm being honest, India start out the series as the favourites, and they probably still are favourites to win it, I think. But England play as well, and I agree with what Chris said. This is probably as good an English performance as I've seen in a while. They still had, even though they won the toss, yes, still be spot on, and to win the game it's tough. Almost been how hard is it to win a test in the subcontinent? India is about the hardest place in the world to go, especially with them being number 2 side in the world at the moment.
I think what backs that up, Adam, is that in the last 30 test matches, they've only lost 4 at home. So 30 test matches in India, they've only lost 4. So that's a huge effort by England to win, even though the toss did play its part.
Amazing statistic. Yeah.
Massive toss.
I think the problem with the toss debate is that, and I think Harsha Vogel said something, that they should, whoever wins the first toss of the series, it then is alternated. So the problem is that in the greatest one in the world is what stops then groundsmen just, they know India are going to win, will be given the toss next time out. They'll just put a complete dust bowl that will be flat for a day and a half and then just completely deteriorate, and the game's gone. And so the only way that you can probably fairly do it is to have a random coin toss every time. And if in one series it goes 4-0, and at least it's fair, because otherwise you're just going to, it's very easy to then tailor a pitch to suit you. I mean, you could turn up to England know it's going to be our toss. We'll just put, we'll water it, or we'll leave the grass on it. And I think that it opens the door to some unfair gameplay, if that makes sense.
But isn't that also the beauty of the game? I mean, one of the things that Preity alluded to before was like everyone's expecting England to lose this series. Norman's got them down at 8-0. India to win 8-0, and for it's not we're not watching a Hollywood movie here where we start watching it and we work the plot out in the first. Okay, that guy's the good-looking guy. He ends up pretty heroine. He saves the people, and the movie ends all happily. We all know what's going to happen. Test cricket's beautiful because we never know. I would win the game before it started. I thought they were odds on favourite. I didn't write them off like Norman did, but that's why we watch the game, isn't it? That's the unknown.
So let me get this clear. It's gone from 4-0 to 5-6 now. Okay, I'm just having to keep track of this. All right.
2-1 India.
2-1 India. That's what Alan thinks. Now, Alan,
Absolutely.
we've been joined by Harini, Rana, and Aparna Saini.
Hello to my Polynesian married mate, Smokes. Hey, buddy.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Norman, you might not, and you guys might not know this, right? But I get away with so many things with them, Adam, my Polynesian married mate. Now, most people, if you said that, would smack you around the head, right? Smokes is my best mate. Now, Smokes, tell a story about that one-day game at the Gabba with that left-hand thing who played a bit for Queensland.
Who was that?
The left-hand batsman.
Hayden.
He was a left-hand batsman.
Hayden.
Might have played a bit for Australia.
Jimmy Meyer?
He started sledging me, right? Before I could pick the ball up, who went straight in and offered him at the back for a scrap? And the words I recollect were, "If you pick on my buddy, it's me and you, boy." And I just picked the ball up when I just go back and bowl because I know that Hayden's got no chance. Man. And also, what did you call him?
I wasn't a very.
God.
Right.
That thing for that TV show, the cartoon character, Mr. How's Your Father? What's his name? Oh, it's a cartoon character.
You've lost me. What are you talking about, Alan?
It's great.
I'm trying to work out what he's talking about.
Great story. I just.
I know, Adam. I can see it now in your eyes.
Oh, Alan, I want your take on the day's play. Let's go back to the story about today's play. What's your thoughts on the way England won today?
Today? Obviously, it's a hard task, that deck. I've been there. It's hard work. It's so humid, so hot. I kept saying to my friends who came around, I said, it's like, you don't quite get it. It's like playing cricket in a sauna. It's bloody hard work. But I think if India win the toss and bat next test, they'll win 2-1. And Smokes knows it's so draining. And Tommy knows it as well. It's hard work. It's so draining. I did the bleep test in Colombo in about 2000, whatever. And I was doing the old Jacob's ladder. 44 degrees heat. And that was easy. Got there, failed the bleep test. Smokes stopped laughing because you've been there as well. So it's hard work. But I think that Kohli will make at least one double hundred, and I reckon he'll win 2-1.
Okay, that's a very well thought out. I think that is probably a fair. So 2-1 to India.
And can I say something just quickly?
Sure.
Adam, stop laughing. Get their glasses. I'm getting old now. Fuck off. He's trying to keep a straight face.
It's a train wreck, Norman.
That's all right. Okay, Aparna, how about you? Let Aparna, you can join now. Your thoughts on the day?
Well, thanks, Norman. Hi, everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Chris and Simon, especially Chris. Well, there's no doubt a huge win over India in first test. which certainly has also put England to the ICC World Test Championship standings. Firstly, obviously, England performed well as compared to India, no doubt. That very disappointing batting effort by India, I would say, on the final day. But saying that, I was wrong about the 4-0 win. That's not going to happen. I knew that. But anyways, right. But credit needs to be given to the England bowlers who bowl with absolute discipline. Heartbreaking loss for obviously Virat Kohli and Indian fans out there. I don't think India put enough pressure on them with the ball in the first half. Collectively, as a bowling unit, though fast bowlers as Ashwin were good in the first innings, but we also needed to contain a few more runs and created pressure. Having said that, definitely, as we know, that conditions out there wasn't favorable for bowlers. It was a crucial toss, and from that point, England followed through and make the most out of it. A very good wicket, which on the other hand, of the slow wicket did not help the Indian bowlers, which definitely made it easy for England batsmen to rotate, strike, and get in the game. So it just looked like it was not much happening in the first 2 days. Definitely the credit to England. They got stuck in and put the big total on the board. And Indian batting did not play very luck for them today. Well, and there has been a lot of talks about the captaincy and the likes of selection mistakes. We will get on that, but definitely England deserved to win this test. So that they should. India needs to learn a lesson and just come back in the next game.
I don't think England deserved to win at all. No.
Hey, Norman,
are you saying that to the Chris?
Yeah, I'm actually saying that. I'm saying it to Adam actually because after the text I got from him, well, if I publish those, boy, there's some trouble there. All right, Harini, Rana, you're finally. Your last but not least, your thoughts on today, Harini. Just for everyone to know.
Thanks, Norman, and
say hello to everybody.
Thanks, Norman, and hello to everyone. I think I see quite a few familiar faces. I'm sure they don't remember me, but Adam, I've interviewed you when I've been touring to UK and have covered you during your playing days. Jeff, I remember speaking to you when I was in Australia during the 2015 World Cup. And even though we didn't do an interview, but it was an interesting conversation to have with you. And I got an opportunity to meet you. So that was great. Chris, Simon, I've seen your work around and congratulations for a great victory. Aparna and Preity, good to see you. Credit where due. I think England played really well. India.
You forgot Alan. Alan's as well.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, how are you?
I think you need to be you need to be brightly lit up. I just missed you.
Hello. I'm getting used to this thing. So I really want to ask Norman and Adam a question. When you're done.
Go for it. Okay, sure.
Now let Harini start and we'll go to you next, okay?
Okay. I think credit where due. England completely outplayed India. Obviously, India were hoping that they should be performing well, but what the over that we saw of Jimmy Anderson, I think we've not seen such an over in a very long time. And I think that was fabulous. What I think made the difference is if you look at the Indian batting lineup in India and Indian batting lineup in Australia, I don't think they sort of expected or they sort of faced so much of reverse swing as James Anderson did what he did today in Chennai. I think incredible performance. And obviously it's disappointing, right? When you have a batting lineup with only 2 players getting over 50, Shubman Gill and Virat Kohli and nobody else standing up, the result is pretty much what we got in Chennai. The toss, everybody is already spoken about, plays a crucial role in this part of the country. So I think there's plenty for India to sort of go back, work on, check on the combinations. Did they make a mistake by not including Nadeem and not including Kuldeep? So that's something that the selectors and the team management would want to do. But I think completely disappointing performance, but I still believe that India is going to make a comeback. What helps the Indian team is going to be a bit of fans coming into the grounds from the next test onwards. And as the series moves to Ahmedabad, there'll be more fans who will be there. So hoping that India makes a comeback. And I think we don't read too much into it. It was a bad performance for India. And every Indian these days takes hope from 36 all out to making a comeback the way India did in Australia. So here's hoping that India makes a comeback. And I think India has the talent and all the potential to sort of make a comeback. But fabulous performance by England, especially the bowlers. The kind of performance that they put up today was special.
Thank you, Harini. Very well summarised. Alan, back to you. What's the question you want to ask Jeff and Adam?
I would like to ask, going back, Jeff, my man, very fast. How would you have bowled to India at the Gabba in the first 5 overs? Now, I spoke to Wasim and Wakar. Now, Warnie goes on about the guys. They're great bowlers. No, you're great. They're good. What would you have bowled? I know I'd have bowled to them.
Oh, mate, I don't know. It's that long ago. It was that long ago when I bowled. I can't remember what I did, but not really. But mate, you've got to bowl at the stumps. You know, our blokes. I thought you're talking about Australia in that last test. You're talking about the last day, in the last test in the draft.
Yeah, when they kept bowling.
I thought we bowled.
Oh, they're brilliant bowlers, just line and length, and yeah, but. It took about, I don't know, about 20 overs before they bowled a bumper. Any chance?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it took them ages to do that. I mean, you got to mix it up. I mean, you know, yourself and so does Adam. You know, you just got to try anything, you know. And I don't think we tried too much. But, I mean, that's water under a bridge. To get those runs in the last day in Australia is fantastic. How many teams would do that? God. Not too many. So you got to give them credit for that anyway. And against a pretty good bowling, against a good bowling attack too, they weren't garbage. So what I was going to say about this game was I think India were caught napping a little bit. They've come to Australia now to win over here and to play those last couple of tests so hard as they did. I think they were just a bit flat in this game. They lost the toss, they got behind the 8 ball. And they never really bounced back from that. They tried to, right? Made it go to the 5th day, which was a pretty good effort after that big score. I think they'll go away now. They're going to be scalded. You know, they're going to be hurting, and they're going to come back even harder now at England. England played well, don't get me wrong, but they've got to get. They can't rest on that either, and they've got to be ready for a real fight from here on in. But I just think India were caught napping to play those couple of games in Australia and play so hard. We all know that have played Test cricket, that does take a lot out of you. And then to come back home and you guard a little bit and you can play a good side like England, you've got to come undone.
And Norman, we had this chat earlier. I'm going to go straight to Adam, right? Who's better, Adam? Kohli or Sachin? I know where my boots are put in. I know how I ball too.
I didn't. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear
you. Yeah.
So Alan's just asked you.
I heard what he asked, yeah. I'm just trying to answer it.
By the way, you're canned with fishing.
So,
watch your ankles.
All right.
I think the answer, Smokey, is neither.
Well, I think when I saw the session, it's like that's the thing about our game. Like every sport gets better. I think Jesse Owens was called the greatest 100-meter sprinter back in just after the Second World War, and he ran 10.4 for 100 meters. Couldn't even qualify for the Olympics now. I'm not saying he was the greatest time. You know, we have someone like Usain Bolt now running 9.6. All sports have got better. I can't believe that cricket's the only one that's got worse. So, as I never
it's
thought.
It's a very simple question. Who's better?
I'm about to do that.
Who would you prefer on top of your game to bowl to, Adam? I'm putting you
Let
there.
him answer.
It's all right.
So I never thought I would say this, but I thought
I know.
Sachin.
I'd rather bowl to.
If you want to ask the question to yourself, maybe. I feel like you
Go on. Carry on.
No. I'll let Adam talk. Adam, your turn.
want to answer the question yourself, mate. Why don't you tell me who you'd rather bowl to?
You carry on.
So I never thought that.
You've been in your head. Carry on.
I never thought I would see a batsman in my time that was better than Sachin, but I think with everything taken, technique, I mean the only thing that I think Kohli hasn't surpassed Tendulkar is longevity yet. Everything else, he's actually surpassed Tendulkar in, other than to see if he can do it for as long as Tendulkar did. That's the only thing that's left to do, which is not an easy thing to do, by the way, because Tendulkar's longevity, he made his test debut when he was 60 maybe and played till he was 40, unsurpassed. So if Kohli can get even close to that, that's a fantastic effort. But both at their best, they're almost very hard to separate. And I never thought I would hear myself say that I never saw Bradman play live, but I think Tendulkar was the best player that I saw.
Okay, that's a pretty.
Would you rather bowl at Lara or Tendulkar? I mean, in terms of a match-winning performer in both forms of the game, Lara must have been pretty close to Sachin.
It's funny, isn't it? Like you only can only take people on. I got Lara out a few times. I think that was largely because he didn't like me and he used to try and hit me out of the stadium. And I got whereas I got feeling with Tendulkar, even though he probably didn't like me as well, he was never going to give his wicket away. And I felt like Lara had more brilliant, whereas Tendulkar was probably more consistent day in, day out. I think that's probably the way I mean, they're both amazing. And like, how do you split players like that?
They're all good.
So why didn't they like you? Was it because you sledged them, or what was the reason for them?
I don't know, Norman. Maybe I get the feeling that you might have an idea why. Maybe
I just pulled my phone out. No. Look, the reality is it takes a character like let's say a Shane Warne or an Animal, more so even Jeff, the way that you guys would have approached people. Although, Jeff, you reckon you never sledged anyone?
Mate, why if you're playing a really good player, would you want to stir him up? You just want to try and get him out if you can. So why you just hope that he's not in a determined mood. So why would you have a go at him and make him even worse to start with? That was the way I always thought, and I was just like a quiet assassin anyway. I'd rather shut up and get on with the job and let them worry about what I'm thinking. If you have the poker face, I don't know what you're thinking, you know. But I bet you've forgotten a few other blokes too. What about you young blokes always amaze me. What about Gavaskar? What about Barry Richards? What about all these other blokes you talk about? There's no other batsman but Tendulkar and Kohli, you know. What about Sonny? Sonny got runs against quick bowlers.
Norman, can I ask
and away from India and with none of all this gear on, you know, none. What about we take some of this gear off Kohli and Tendulkar and against, you know,
the bats they used to use.
You still reckon they'd be so good as what they were?
Nope.
That's a good point. It's a good point. I'm old enough to remember wearing gloves with the green spikes, which covered bloody nothing. And they covered the top of my fingers. My whole hand was still white.
Yeah.
So
I really like Brian Lara. I saw him get runs against Shane Warne, McGrath, Gillespie, and all that. He made them look like idiots on days when I saw him bat. Yeah. And Warne, that's what I said. Warne, and I saw him just unbelievable.
Right, Jeff. You got a
Sorry?
Viv. What you thinking? At the end of your
what am I thinking? If I don't get this bloke out in a hurry, I'm in for a bad day.
Yep.
I used to love bowling to Viv. I used to love bowling to Viv. I knew I had to bowl my best at that bloke, and that's what we're there for. You're up there to play against the best, and that's what proves yourself. I used to love watching Viv bat.
That's why today I'm watching Coley, right? I don't care about his stats. I just watching how he plays. And I'm thinking how I bowled and the way I bowled to Sachin. And I'm thinking, I'm just thinking now where you guys are talking. Into my Mohawk, Graham Hick, Brian Lara. Great player.
Hang on. You're not putting Graham Hick in with us. Hang on a minute.
Hick, their bat was like 10 foot wide when you bowled them.
The bat probably was 10 foot wide. Adam used to use a 10 foot wide bat, didn't it? Adam, your bat was pretty wide, I remember.
Maybe you should have wore those glasses earlier when you were younger.
Okay, Gilchrist, great.
It mightn't look so wide. I know what you mean. Some days you may as well you think, what am I doing here? I should have stayed home. Yeah.
Jump on the surfboard and go down the beach.
I was saying before about never sledging. If I bowled 100 miles an hour, I wouldn't need to say anything either. The problem is I bowled 55 miles an hour, so you have to try to do something. So it's like, if I bowled 100 miles an hour, why do you need to say anything? You're saying it all by the fact that the ball's coming down there that far. But you don't need to say anything. It's just like people.
All you guys, right? Norman?
Yeah.
All you guys, right? What is the best sledge you've ever heard? I know mine, and it's brilliant.
As long as it's clean, we can talk about it.
No swear words involved.
No idea. No idea.
Go on,
give it to us.
Norman.
Sorry?
Played for Leicester. Played one test match for England. He played for Surrey. But he played one test. You might be his captain, Smokes. Played one test match. And then he got Mark War wandering off, goes, how, and explain it for her. The hell are you playing for your country? He goes, well, I might not be very good, but at least I'm the best player in my family. Jimmy Ormond. That's Mark War sledging.
I've heard that one before.
Think about it.
I have.
Okay, so I want to get Simon Willis. Simon Willis, I want to bring you in here. Simon Willis, how would you go about coaching? If you had Alan, Adam, and Jeff on your side, what would you say to them?
Wow.
I want to hear what you would say to these three guys.
I don't think I'd have to say much, to be fair, because you got a hell of a lot of quality there. So you just let them play, let them go out.
No, you wouldn't.
To be fair, I might be scared of saying too much to Adam because, he's got a good right fist on him.
Safe answer from Simon.
Sorry, pardon?
Safe answer from Simon.
Well, no, I think that's what most coaches do. You've got to trust your players when they go out on the park. It's their game.
No, Simon, what you do with me, right? If you look at my test record, batting, you go, Al, try left-handed as a batsman.
It's because you use those Eastern bats, mate. That's the problem.
I'm good than he was.
Do you think Ravi Shastri, though, would be quiet? Do you think he'd be just letting the players go out and play? Or what's your take on what Ravi Shastri would be doing as coach, especially in a match like this?
Oh, I think Jeff's touched on it a little bit earlier. He will obviously make the players aware of, the standards that they've set already, and they didn't meet them in this test match. But remember the great performances they've had in recent times and their record at home. So, dust yourselves down. You've only got 3 days between test matches. Let's have a day off tomorrow and prepare well for the next test match. We can soon turn this around. It's a long series. I think it's keeping perspective is the biggest thing here, and not getting too carried away, because we all know what the Indian media is like. They will be jumping on the bandwagon here and blaming Kohli's captaincy or blaming certain players in the team. So, Ravi will be trying to keep the calmness and self-belief in the ranks.
Very good point. Chris?
I don't think there'll be mass panic in the India dressing room. People touch on if Kohli should be captain. The problem they've got is that I don't think Rahane is justifying his place in the side anyway. I know he's bigged up as a great captain, but all the talk on social media is that Rahane could be the one to get dropped. I know he got 100 in Melbourne, but if you look at his last 5 or 6 tests apart from that, I don't think he's got past 30. So that's the problem they've got there. I think they'll just be worried that England took them on a bit. You know, the day 2 when Stokes came in, took them on. You know, I think England sides in the past could have gone into their shell and gone defensive. But, you know, even today, 150 for 7, and Jofra Archer's hit Ashton on the helmet on probably one of the slowest, deadest pitches I've seen, going through the top. Archer's running, hit him on the badge, hit him on the wrist, and I think that we've got cricketers that can really get in India's faces, and I think that they'll be concerned that whatever we threw at them in this test. I was watching. It didn't look like India knew what to do. I don't think. You know, how many sessions were there in the test match? 14. India might have won 1 of them or 2 of them. Honestly, you know, 2 is probably generous, and the fact that I think that historically English sides or Australian sides have gone to the subcontinent thinking, geez, if we can maybe be safe and draw a series, and that's great, but it looks like that England are going to take them on and see what India have got, and they wouldn't have been under this sort of pressure before. And you know, with the fans going back in could help India, but on the other way round, if you know 100,000 people on your back when you're expected to win, that's a lot of pressure the other way. The Gabba and Australia series is great for them, no pressure. If you lose, you're expected to lose. Here you've got 1 billion people expecting you to absolutely wipe the floor with England, and England aren't going to be stuffed. They're going to have to earn to win this series, and it's going to be a cracker, I think.
Can I just touch on one subject which Alan mentioned earlier, is that obviously they put everything into this test match, England, and you know, the humidity and the weather, etc. They've only got 3 days between test matches. What would you guys be doing, you know, to get yourself ready for this next test match? Because physically and mentally, that's going to be a huge challenge for them, isn't it?
Eat, drink, sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
And say good luck. And if they lose a toss,
I think you've got to rest.
Game over.
Yeah.
2-1, India.
Jeff,
I just think you've got to rest. Not overdo it. I'm talking about an England point of view.
Yeah.
Don't overtrain. They don't need to overtrain. They played pretty well. Everyone did. You only touch something if it's broke. You know, we're talking about coaching before. I mean, coaching, from my point of view, for players, you only need to say something when a bloke's out of form. I mean, they're all top players. They wouldn't be in the sides anyway. So, you know, unless the player is horribly out of form, you know, it's just a matter of pumping the guys up, isn't it, really, all the time? Keeping them believing in themselves, just keep them going, keep them happy as a group. And they should be happy after what happened today.
Smokes, as a captain,
Aparna, I think, just watching cricket over the summer, with what's going around the world, I think it's absolutely fantastic to get out on the field. I really do. Whether they win, lose, or draw, just to play cricket, I think is brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good point,
I
actually,
think it's fantastic.
Alan. We've forgotten that, haven't we, about the whole COVID situation around the world. The fact that they're out there
it's
playing.
all well and good. You go out there in front of 95. I talked to a few mates today. You know, when I played for England, MCG, 95,000. It's brilliant. 80,000, 70,000. Lord's full house. These guys go out there in an empty house, making sure they don't get infected with, you know, whatever. And I just think in the Big Bash here, the whole IPL, I just think watching that, and the way they've all orchestrated it is brilliant. So win, lose or draw, we've got cricket, and I think it's fantastic. But I want to see Kohli make a double 100 to get close to Sachin. And we had a chat earlier, Norman, about that.
We did.
I think it's brilliant.
I mean, the way that Virat Kohli batted today was quite sensational. He got a damn good ball. I mean, the bowling of, for starters, Anderson, that one over when he just missed both, who was he? Both Gill and Rahane. They were fantastic deliveries. The ball that got Kohli was a fantastic delivery. It was rather impressive. They bowled stump to stump, which was clearly a tactic, and the pitch was the amount of reverse swing was quite impressive. I was surprised that Bumrah didn't get quite as much as that when he bowled, but yeah, Anderson showed his class today. It was amazing.
He's just incredible. Can I just say,
Aparna, have you got a question for the group?
Yeah, that's the whole group. When I was younger, my hero was also Viv Richards, right? He played for Glamorgan.
Jeff Thomson, what do you think the likes of Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane, and perhaps even Rishabh Pant would be rightly criticised for the poor show in this last inning? So do you think if there is a batting problem, is a selection mistake, or they're just not in the form, or where did they actually, if you had to pinpoint, where did they go wrong coming from a bowling perspective?
I think India.
Who was this? Who was this?
Jeff. That's you, Jeff. It's about.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
About what? India?
Yeah. What do you think? Where did the Indian team batting lineup actually went wrong?
Well, I think a bit of complacency, like I said, coming from Australia, doing pretty well. I think they were just a bit complacent. And I know this sounds harsh, but the pressure when they play in front of their own crowd, there's no crowd, I know that much, but the media are the biggest thing. Everyone expectation over there. When you get away from India and play in Australia, they really enjoyed it out there as much as there was a couple of run-ins, but it totally different atmosphere. And then to come home, and like I said, they got caught with their pants down. This English side is not a garbage side. They're a good side. And, and that caught them out. The toss played a lot in it. So, there's no panic stations at the moment. I mean, we're going to play the second test and see what happens in that one, really, to be fair. And if India bat first, then you'll get a better idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Do you think Virat Kohli's captaincy has played a bit of a role? He didn't perform it that well because he's lost in Adelaide when he was doing the captaincy for the test match, and now this one has come up with the same result. Do you think Ajinkya Rahane is better captain as compared to Virat Kohli? Would it be fair to say that?
Well, it's pretty. I can hardly hear you at the moment. The sound has gone a little bit wayward, but I don't know. It's very hard for us to guess what they're both like as captains. You have to be out there yourself. I mean, people always said to me, "What's Greg Chappell like? What's Ian Chappell like?" Two totally different blokes. As much as they're brothers. And I know what made one better than the other, It's pretty hard from the sideline to listen to comments and all that. And, unless you went into the dressing room and said, who do you want? Who's the better player? Who's the better captain, not the better player? That's the only way you find out, So you can read what you want and all the speculation under the sun, but, without knowing, I'll just say now, that if I was playing under Virat Kohli, I would bowl my backside off for him because the way he plays and the way he stands up against opposition, I don't care what he's like as a captain in a fashion unless he's an absolute idiot, which he isn't, as far as field placings and who to bowl when and all that. I would walk over hot coals for that bloke, And that's what you want as a leader, right? That's all I'll say about it. What do you think, Smokey?
I just want to get a captain out of Ian Greg Chappell.
Ian, there.
Really? Wow. Why is versus England? But this
because he was cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
Greg was a bit like the headmaster. Greg would walk up to. I'm talking about guys in the team that weren't stars, Greg would walk up to him, tell him what he wanted when they went out to bat, and the poor guy would walk out the door and think, I don't know what he's talking about. It's Greg Chappell, I can't bat like him. And the guy would get out, and Greg would have no time for him, Whereas Ian knew how to calm that guy down. He'd never ask him to do what he could do. He'd just try to get him to play better than he could. By being cool, calm and collected. And he never chastised him about it. That's the difference in them. One would one would publicly, as in the dressing room, bag him, whereas the other one would never do that.
That's interesting because I know the original question was you asked about Kohli and Rahane. And
yeah, I can imagine Kohli being a bit feisty and having a go at somebody. Would that be right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, but what I was going to say, my point, I was know either of those guys personally, but what I was going to say that it's interesting. Like obviously, I still captaincy in my time, and I think when a lot of people think of captains, they think of, oh, should we have a third slip or a fourth slip? Or I feel like that element of captaincy is quite. If we all went round, all who are here went round and set a field, I reckon 90% of the time we'd end up with a very similar field, and there'd only be a few decisions in the day that would be, require something different. I reckon most of us would probably have the same field, but it's interesting that I think the things that I think is what kind of person you are, and if you can keep your team gelled together, and if you just you would for a brick wall for Kohli. Certain captains have that. I think Shane Warne was a tactical cricketer that I ever saw, because we played in a series out in Australia, and Steve Waugh was captain for half the games and Shane Warne was captain for the other half. And there was a visible difference when Shane Warne captained versus Steve Waugh, as in an improvement in tactical game. But I would also argue that if Shane Warne tried to captain Australia over a period of 10 years, that at some stage the side would fall apart with himself because of him as a person. And that's not saying I like Shane, and I like Steve Waugh as well, but Steve's a more level-headed character, and he's probably going to find that he can keep the side together. So I think you've sort of identified their personalities as being an important captaincy, as opposed to what the traditional tactical good decision. So
can I just tell you, one of my favourite captains was Mike Brealey. Really, yeah, the guy from Middlesex. He just read the game really well. Didn't say much at all. So players let you do, because he knew, I could do what I wanted and was supposed to do. That's what I was getting paid for. And he just ran the game. So I didn't have to think about it too much. All I had to do was worry about who I was bowling to. And that's what you want as a bowler, I don't like getting distractions when I bowl. I tune out 100% and just go for the guy.
Just give me the ball.
In the way I will, And that's what I want as a player, So, and I don't like loudmouths. I don't like I said before, obviously, what I said before about being loud and all that. I don't agree with that. That might sound funny coming from a bloke like me.
Apparently,
I'll tell you what.
A clinical psychologist.
Yeah, but he used to sit in that dressing room when Wayne Daniel and myself were bowling for Middlesex, and he would just look at us. I don't think he could work out how we were thinking. He'd just look, and I don't know. You could see he's analysed you and all that, and I just thought, you're wasting your time, mate. You won't find anything there.
Chris Vernon, Chris Vernon, how would you like facing Jeff Thomson and Wayne Daniels? How would you like that?
I don't think I'd see it. It's interesting talking about captaincies. I think it's pretty tight. I mean, Kohli's obviously leads on the front, and he's obviously going to take flack, but I think it's pretty harsh to criticise his captaincy in this game. What he lost the toss.
Exactly.
They probably got the team wrong. I think that they messed up on the team, but at the end of the day, he picked two spinners that bowled really poorly. Sundar and Nadeem in that first innings were poor, and his top order were poor. I mean, that's the be all and end all. They fielded poorly, they didn't take their chances, and England outperformed them pretty much man for man. In England are laughing. They're going to go back to the hotel for 2 days, chill out by the pool, have relax, knowing that 10 of those blokes are going to be playing in the second test, and Broad might come in for Anderson. I'll be very surprised if there's any other changes. India have got 2 days to go, try and work out what the pitch is and try and work out what the side is. And being such a quick turnaround, I think that's not going to help them. They could make 4. I think they'll make 3 or 4 changes for the next test. I see Rahane maybe going. Sharma might be. I think I'll give Sharma another test. I think that the left arm spin.
Which Sharma are you talking about? Ishant or Rohit?
Oh, Ishant will stay. The only problem they've got with Bumrah and Sharma is that they've done 240 overs in the dirt this week, and they've got 3 days to turn around. So in terms of Alan and Jeff will tell you that 3 days in the field bowling all those overs as a seam bowler, if you've got to go out and do it again in 2 days' time, it's tough. And although you're going to be up for it to start with, if you're then out there for 2 sessions, the fatigue kicks in, and they've got to work out very quickly how they're going to counteract England. And I think they'll make at least 3 changes for that second test, and it's massively bonus to England. As I said, those guys are going to sit down, have a relax, have a net the day before, knowing that they're all playing, they're happy, they're confident, same ground, and if they can go out and get a good start in that game, and I think that it's really tough for India. And touching on what Jeff said about Brearley, he's obviously renowned as being one of the greatest. Probably in this country, he will go down in history as the bloke that got the best out of both of them. He in that 1981 Ashes series, he worked out how to make both them tick, and he went out at Headingley and won the Test match and arguably won the series. And that's probably why he's most famous. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but that's probably what he'll be credited for in history, if that makes sense.
But it was just not Brearley on. This is an interesting point. Brearley and both of them. That's always talked about, but it was the whole damn team. He actually changed the mindset of the whole team, and people forget that. It was both, and clearly as the most star-struck player of the group, but the whole team changed actually under Brearley. That was what was significant. Jeff, you've done a lot of talks with Ian Botham. What's your take on that? What does he say to you about that?
Oh, well, Beefy never really lets on about what's going on. I mean, we're great mates and all that, but when you do the talks, I mean, there's a lot of fairy tales go in what you say. I mean, you're making people laugh. You don't get the truth in the way of a good story. So you don't sit there and ask mates, oh, what really happened and all that. I've never sat down and done that with him, but I'm sure Beefy did like Brearley. He knew he played pretty well underneath him. And Beefy liked being captain, obviously. I mean, that's the top job, the captain, but I don't think it helped him. You know what I mean? It took away from his game. And again, you got to think about too many other people when you're captain. That's the trouble. You've got to be selfish to be a really good player, and that's play yourself still, you're bowling, batting might be, you could field anywhere, bat anywhere, bowl anywhere, and then you're running the captain, just too much. I think just too much for a bloke.
Oh, that's great. Okay, Preity, you've been very quiet there in the corner, and Aparna has now.
I'm just taking it all in.
You're sitting there, Preity?
There's a lot to take in.
Well, you got some pretty star-studded people. I mean, I have would you like me to talk about my bowling? The fact that I had to sledge enormously because my pace wasn't quite there. I was actually particularly good. I would not wait until the umpire looked up, or the batsman for that matter. I'd run in and bowl before they had a chance to even look up. That was my tactic. What do you reckon of that for a tactic?
I think we heard enough about your bowling last night, mate.
All right.
Preity, in the chat, question for Preity. How will the Indian media react to what's the Indian media going to say in the Chennai news tomorrow morning? I don't know what the local paper's called, but what's their take on the Test match going to be? Are they going to be calling for heads or just going to tip the hat to England and say fair play, they outplayed us, or are they going to be calling for changes? They're going to be an inquest into what happened.
Well, they'll always be curious about what changes will take place, and there will be changes. I think where this team went wrong really was the lineup, the combination, and I don't think they got the team right. When I first saw the list, I was like, interesting. I don't know about this, but so like you said, there will be 3 or 4 changes, I think, and that will be welcomed. normally the media is vicious. However, I think they will be more forgiving this time. I just feel because we have so many more innings to go, and come on, the game has just begun, right? There's a lot more cricket to be played, even in even in this series. They know that, and they know what a fabulous team they have. So I think they'll be more kinder considering the short turnaround time. And the last thing they want to do is get people you don't want doubts in anyone's head. But the team doesn't read newspapers and all. They tune out to all of that crap. They know that they've done enough media junkets and so on. While they're playing, I think their focus rightfully should be on the game and on each other, teamwork, warming up, practicing, and strategy and stuff like that. To be honest, most of them aren't concerned about what the media thinks even after the whole thing is done. And nor should they anyway. They should just do their thing. But yeah, I think the media will be I sense a little forgiving, because they just think that there's a lot more cricket to be played, and we haven't seen the best yet. So
absolutely,
that's true. Aparna, think back to the Australian series. Aparna, you actually, as we both talked off air, it's almost similar to the Australian series in as much as not a good start for India, and they seem to almost thrive on that to come back even harder.
I think they always have. They always have learned from their mistakes. Well, just to get there before that, I think it will be an uphill battle on where Shastri and Kohli would be wanting to do certain changes in the team. We'll definitely see some changes, as it happened after even they lost in Adelaide. After the first 36 runs run all out, even the batting lineup didn't play very well there as well. Same thing, but we'll leave that up to them. It's definitely only time will tell. But India's body language and intensity was also not up to the mark. That's what I feel. Second innings, they were much better in the second half of the first innings with the bat, not with the first four batters, obviously. But I think India would definitely learn and understand the things that they have done recently, and they've done decently in the game, and also the things that they have not. So I'm sure they would be looking to improve, though England were far more professional and consistent throughout this test than obviously Indian team were, though there has been questions on selections and performance, but that would be an uphill battle for Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri. But we definitely will see some changes, I'm assuming.
It's interesting as you say professional and consistent. They were the words that Kohli actually used. He saw that his comparison was, he actually said England were, in his eyes, more professional, more consistent about their play. And I think that's probably what you've said is exactly what he said. So it's a good summary. Alan, over to you. You've been perking away. I think you wanted to say something.
Oh no, I just watched Adam, my good mate, Jake the Muss from Watford Warriors. You look like him every single time I see you. Adam and I are very, very close friends. You know what? I was asked questions by other people around the world. Is Kohli as good as Sachin?
So you want feedback from our viewers? We've got actually a number of people on the side of our commentary that are actually.
And I thought, good God.
A lot of people are actually asking, are actually talking about Kohli.
It's all about having these stats, right? I average 52 or 54. I bowl this and bowl that, rah, rah, rah. But it's like, who is the better player? Who is the match winner? And you can throw that at me, right? Who's the best player, Sachin or Kohli? But the guy I love is Washington Sundar. I think he is brilliant. He's come from nowhere. And when I watch the commentary, like they go, who is this guy? Well, actually, he made first-class 100. I like watching him play.
He opens for his state.
Exactly. I think he's brilliant.
I don't know if he'll play in the next test. They could take him out. He might get dropped. I think that they see him as a bowling all-rounder.
I'm thinking long-term.
Yeah, I mean, but the problem he's got is that how good is either of his skills? You know, his bowling at the moment doesn't quite look up to it. He's still very young in his career. Is he going to bat in that Indian top 5? And if you're not going to bowl, you've got to make your way into that top 5, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I agree. But he's young, and I guess when I watch him bat, right, and I think, good God, look at my test average. It was at 5.2. That was rubbish. No, like this guy plays shots I could dream of.
I thought you weren't a man for stats and averages.
I know I'm betting average. Rubbish.
All right, guys.
We've got the answers.
Not so much wrap things up, but anyone who's Alan, could you go on? Because I think you've got a bit of stake on yours. You right? So we're going to go around the group. We're going to try and get an indication of 2 questions. I'm going to ask you changes that you make and who's going to win the second match. Chris, go.
Win the test. I think England. Butler's going home, which is a shame. I'm reluctant to change it, a winning formula, but Folkes will come in, and Folkes is a better keeper. Batting wise, he's proven that he can score hundreds in the subcontinent, albeit only one. But you know, these Surrey boys are usually pretty switched on, and you know, he'll be on top of his game. I don't know. I'd like to think that you might just take a risk and say leave Jimmy in and play Broad for the last 2. I know that they'll rotate, but why would you? You know, he's bowled on that wicket. He knows the end. You know, if India are down, and it looks like at the moment you can get on top. You can nail them, and if we can get a result in this second test, you know, that series over. And India now got a problem that they want to make this World Test Championship final. They've got to win 3-1, and so they've got to play the cricket and they've got to go for it. And although Broad will come in, and you know, he's one of the best ever without a doubt, you just think Anderson's bowled this week. He's fresh. He's probably only bowled 30 overs, if that. I might just be tempted to stick with it. I don't think they will. Yeah, and India-wise, I have no idea. I could easily see sitting down on Saturday morning at 3 o'clock with you and maybe Smokey again, and the Indian side could have 5 changes. I really could see them making 4 or 5 changes. And if that's the case, then it's only benefit England. That it can only be a good thing for England that India make that many changes. England showed this week, I think, where India missed the trick was that you can get more control for a third seamer, not a third spinner. I know Stokes only bowled 12 overs in the test, but went at 1 and over and got Kohli out, and you know, you're just adding that control. And I think you might see India change their balance of the side for that test. But I think the test will come down to wins a toss, and it's sad to say. Joe Root seems to be doing everything right at the moment. He doesn't seem to be putting a foot wrong. So I'm going to go England win the test because England will bat first.
Okay, I'm going to go out of order here. Adam next.
Are you asking me for change?
Changes and yeah, the changes, the teams, and the way the test will go.
It'll be a brave man to bet against Chris. In fact, I'm surprised to see him. He'd have been taken away by the match fixers because his inside information has been impeccable.
I've had Will Hill on the phone this morning, so yeah.
Yeah, I'd be expecting a few phone calls made over the next, not just from the police, but from others trying to get.
I was actually disappointed in my prediction today. I thought India would actually be good enough to bat 2 sessions, but that proved wrong.
That's really a dig. That's a big fat dig. That is.
That's the first one I've been.
I think it's very childish and immature, to be honest. You should really listen to yourself, buddy.
That's all right. I've got 3 tests. I've got 3 tests, but we're going to probably lose. So.
I'll back you, Preity, on that.
That was a.
It's the only one I've made.
You needed to just off straight after that, so you could avoid the abuse. So I agree with Chris what he says about. I really would be tempted to stick with Jimmy Anderson. I don't know if I think I've heard they're looking to alternate Broad, but you know, like if they can win that next test, you know, who comes back from 2-0 down in a 4-match series? The best that India can do is level it. And I think that Anderson bowled so well. I saw a statistic today. Jimmy Anderson has now become England's leading wicket taker, just from wickets he's taken since the age of 30. So he's taken more than Bob Willis and Ian Botham since 30. So, and he took 200 and something wickets before he was 30. So, amazing bowler. So, and like I said, he's worked. How many overs did he bowl in the game? Not so many. No. So, I'd be tempted. That'd be me. That I would. I know they've got their workloads and they try and balance. Sometimes you've got to try and roll the dice a bit, and that'd be the thing that I'd do. Other than that, conditions are pretty straightforward.
All right, thanks for that, Adam. Simon.
I agree with the lads. You know, I'd stick with the same side. Just folks coming in for Butler. I think that one of the angles with Jimmy is his experience and leadership. You saw him before the day today, talking to Geoffrey Archer and the captain. I think there's a lot of respect in that dressing room for him with his cricket tactical knowledge as well. I'm not saying that isn't there for Broad, but I think they'll go with him because he just hasn't bowled a load of overs in this Test match.
Okay, Preity.
Well, I think changes will help India. I don't think this team is going to work as is again. So maybe Kuldeep Yadav or someone like that. You should drop one of the one or two of the batsmen. I don't know which one, but yeah, mix it up because they have a lot of very good players that they could bring in instead. Okay. And I think India will win the second.
Oh. Aparna, I'm leaving Alan to last. Aparna?
Well, obviously, I would want India to come back and win at least the second Test match. Otherwise, it's a one-sided Test series. It's not good for the viewers as well. No. Keep it going, keep it exciting. And for the reputation of the country, obviously, they would be coming back. They always have learned from their mistakes, as I've said. Even in Australia, they did, which we saw clearly, which looked like there was no coming back from there. It wasn't that bad considering this loss. So I think, if they put a bit more effort in and the energy is there and the right state of mind would help win the second match. So I can definitely see them winning the second match. And I would say it's very hard to say as we don't know the pitch conditions yet, but definitely Washington Sundar didn't take any wickets, but I think he was good. So he shouldn't be dropped. Nadeem, I don't know about his selection. I'm not sure if he should be picked and would they stick with him for the next one. I probably think shouldn't. This is a very important match, so should not go with someone like Nadeem and should give other bowlers a chance, I would say. But yeah, I'd be quite interested to say. Definitely can see India winning the second Test match.
All right.
I know Chris would not agree, and but I'm just gonna go and have a glass of whatever Alan had.
I don't disagree with you, Aparna, at all. I think that the toss is huge, and that's what I'm basing it on. And I think that Joe Root literally can't do anything wrong at the moment, and that's the only reason I think he'll win the toss. If India win the toss, I think it will be 1-1, purely because I know that you guys will bat. The pitch is probably going to be the same, isn't it? I don't see that playing two strips over in the same way, that same stadium, that the pitch is going to be any different. So for India, I think the fitness to bowl with Hardik Pandya is massive. If he can be fit to bowl, then Sundar probably goes, and they can bring Kuldeep in for Nadeem, and then that looks a much better balanced side, in my opinion.
I think you're right. Very good selection. Alan Mullally, Alan Spider Mullally. This is the
my
moment.
expert's opinion.
Your crescendo.
You know what? If India win the toss, next Test match, and bat, it's game over. Now, Chris, I have a question for you.
Okay.
When was the last time you bowled 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 20, 25 overs in downtown Madras?
Oh, no, yeah, I've never. That's what I mean about the toss being massive for England. As if
with Western Australia, my first tour to India was with WA, the Sheffield Shield winners. They called the Ken Plas Trophy We played Tamil Nadu, and I thought, holy moly, what am I doing here, right? I bowled 5 overs, 7 overs, 8 overs, and I'm like, oh my Lord. So, you know something, you sound quite blasé when you say, oh, you know, Anderson only bowled 15 overs. Try 15 overs in Madras. Have you done it? I have.
No, but my point is that Anderson bowled.
It's hard work. It's extremely draining. I played a game. I find you quite insulting. I played a game in Colombo, right? A one-day game for England. I bowled 9 overs, dropped 4.5 kilos. We lost, right?
Yeah.
4.5 kilos, bowling 9 overs. And Goffey said to me, man, this is hot. Craig White said, I want to go back to Australia. Been there, done that. Could not drink enough water. You don't see it on TV. I've been there, done it. So here's the deal. If India win the toss, they win the series 2-1. You know why? Because you can't recover fast enough. If you're 21, 22, let alone Jimmy Anderson, who I think is fantastic, you just cannot recover fast enough. So you just said it quite blasé. Oh, here we go, 10 overs, 5. You try and do that in Madras. Have you done it? I have. So you're wrong.
You know, if you let me have
all right, okay, guys. I'm conscious of, guys, I'm conscious of time now. We've lost Adam and Jeff.
I have.
They're both said goodbye.
About what it takes to be an athlete.
I'm not being blasé at all. My point is that the England seamers.
Okay, guys. All right, we're going to stop
all right,
there, guys.
Okay, time out.
Conversation's finished. We're going to stop there, guys. Thanks for your time. It's been fantastic. Thank you, Aparna and Preity.
Got the t-shirt. Have you?
Alan, I'm glad you were here as well. Adam and Jeff have gone. They're unable to get back on, but they thanked me as well for being on. It's been a fantastic group. Thank you again, Simon and Chris.
Sitting there going, you know what? You're right, Al.
All right, guys.
All
the best. We'll talk very soon again.
Yeah.
This is Norman Kochannek from Eyes on Cricket.
In
It's been great to have you guys on. Thanks again, guys. All the best.
See you later.
Bye.
Right, bye.